I almost felt like Nikola Jokic should have stood there at center court at the end of the game and said, "Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?" Right? It's one of those things where, I like being on the right side of history. Don't you? Right? You can be on the wrong side of the current moment, the right side of history. And I'm not always on the right side of history. It's okay. Sometimes you're wrong. You guess, and sometimes you're wrong. You feel, you watch, whatever. But, Kendrick Perkins did a 180 5 days ago. Most of America did the same last night. Right? And don't get me wrong, he takes the 1 foot 3-pointer. You're like, what is that? And it goes in. They nearly lost a game they had complete control of for about 3/4 of the game. There's a lot we can discuss about the series. But if we're truly honest with ourselves, most sports fans had never seen Nikola Jokic play an entire game. Don't believe me? Jason Stewart, is that the most you've ever watched Nikola Jokic play a game?
I think other than other Laker games, I've watched them before, but yeah.
You've watched an entire game with Jokic?
Against the Lakers, yeah.
Okay.
That's the one team I'll watch on a regular basis.
No, I understand. I'm saying I would guess 75% of the viewers would say, I've watched him play my team previously but maybe not the whole thing. I watched that entire game last night and I was like, I cannot believe how good he is and how unique he is. And I said this, I think it was last year about Luka. And it's true then and it's true now. And this is a really hard thing for people to factor, okay, to understand. Look, the Nuggets made shots out their rectum last night, shots that they may never make again. And when you have confidence and you have it rolling, and then the Lakers made some adjustments, both offensively and defensively, nearly came back and won the game. I don't know what the rest of the series looks like. It's interesting because my only concern with the Lakers moving forward is fatigue and playing in altitude in game 2, right? Really wears on you more as you become oxygen deprived. The longer you stay in the Mile High City, you don't adjust for a while. Anyway, but I think the Lakers, they got a good beat on the Nuggets. The Nuggets are not great defensively. They're not terribly deep, and they're not crazy disciplined. But that guy he's a carnival act. Right? He does a little bit of everything, and he does it kind of in awkward fashion, and he's amazing at what he does. Amazing. And what I said about Luka last year is true about Jokic this year, which is this is what Larry Bird did. Okay? And yeah, they happen to all have white skin. I can find other guys, if you'd like, that had that sort of kind of awkward style. Right? It's awkward. There's no other way to put it. Like you're shooting usually when you shoot off 1 foot, you shoot with your opposite foot. Like think about all the 1 foot shots you've ever shot in your driveway or floaters or even half court shots. He shoots with his right foot. Like it's just kind of awkward and different. And it's a different kind of skill. You're like, how does he keep getting by guys? I don't understand. How does he keep making those passes? How does he score so much? How does he get that off? I don't know either. I didn't have that ability. But there's something unique and special and dominant in a clever sort of not the craziest athlete way. And I will point out that this is not the only place that it exists. Right? Jerry Rice famously didn't run a super fast 40, but he's the greatest wide receiver in the history of the sport. And that's a position where normally athleticism, size are the key factors. What was the guy from the Bengals he drafted a couple years ago out of University of Washington, was like sprinter speed, like crazy speed.
John Ross.
John Ross. But you know what he was? A terrible wide receiver. World-class speed, but there's so much more to being a wide receiver. And basketball is much the same way. I mean, even if you take Anthony Davis, right? Anthony Davis he's not the most athletic big dude in the world, but he was a point guard growing up. He grew I think in high school. And so he has all those guard skills combined with crazy length, whatever. You know, the freakiest athlete on the floor is Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon completed what I believe to this point, is the greatest dunk in NBA dunk history, right? He jumped up and he had a mascot on one of those air boards, right? What are those called? It's like a floater board type of thing. You remember that? And the mascot was spinning around. He caught it, went underneath his legs, and then dunked it. It's like the greatest dunk I've ever. It's so much better. It's so much better than any dunk that Jordan or Vince Carter ever did. Okay, the guy is 6'10", literally crazy athlete. And you know what? It was hard to watch him out there because they weren't guarding him last night because he can't really shoot. He's not actually super confident in his shooting. And so the point to make is, and I'll grant you, like Jokic is 7 feet tall, right? And while he may not be a great athlete on paper or in the TV for an NBA player compared to you and me, like he's crazy athletic by comparison. But the point is that we do this thing. We got the NBA draft combine going on now where we judge all of these different factors. We do it with the NFL, where sports is only partially about how good an athlete you are. Now, there's different positions, there's different sports, different levels of athleticism needed. Right? Like, look, dude, if you're an NFL defensive back, if you can't run, you can't play. It doesn't matter how smart you are, but there are positions where they can hide you if you can't run nearly as. Safety is one in which you got to get everybody lined up, and you got to be able to read things more so than have incredible speed. And you got to be able to hit and tackle and secure, maybe more so than be able to run. But I don't know, I'm watching last night, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I go into the list of other questions, which is, how come we don't have American centers that can play this way? Did you ever know that? Like, go and look at the centers in the NBA. List them for me. Anthony Davis, who's now a center, is like the only American-born guy who plays center who's any good. That's born in America. Right? Go on. Look at him. It's crazy. Like, we've cornered every market except that one. What are we not doing to develop? And I know, like, having played overseas, play a lot of soccer, like Mondays is like conditioning day, and you actually play soccer inside your gym, and it helps your footwork. But there's more to it than that. Like, what that guy does is crazy. And it defies logic in that basketball is a game that generally has been played by guys that play above the rim, and he's a below the rim dude. I mean, honestly, his body type, if he was 6'1", 6'2", it looked like he worked at UPS. Now, it helps that he's 7 feet tall, but the skill, toughness, intelligence that he and Anthony Davis possess is remarkable. And I'm left walking away by just, it's kind of a win for analytics, isn't it? Right? We have so many people in the media and in sports telling us analytics is just data. It doesn't take this into effect, doesn't take that. And I would tell you, I think it's just a portion of the equation. But the argument for Nikola Jokic to be the MVP the past 3 seasons, and the reason that he was considered a favorite before Kendrick Perkins called it into question, was really simple. Analytics told you that he was far and away the best player in the NBA. So I'm going to ask you this. Anybody who's watched all the NBA playoff games, and Jason Tatum is coming off a virtuoso in Game 7. He did have a stinker for most part in Game 6, but if you were honest with yourself and you watched last night, have you seen a better basketball player this year than Jokic? I understand a new, different way of looking at things through a computer, through analytics, and not through raw stats and data. It's really disarming, especially even people like myself that I've always watched it one way, and it challenges you to see things a different way. That's hard as you get older. It just is. But last night was not just a win for the Nuggets. That was a win for analytics basketball. Yes, John Ramos.
Is it because he does everything well, or one thing really great and other things well, or what would lead you to believe or to say that what you just said about what did you see that led you to think we missed something?
You watched the game. What did you think?
I had a baseball game last night. Lucas had a game, so I did not see the game. But
totally fair.
Yeah.
Dan Byer, you watched the game last night?
Yeah, I was at John's kids' game. Oh. No, I'm kidding.
I saw you. You were like the third row, right?
Yeah, I was cheering for the other team.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of. I thought that was weird though that you were booing. Booing Jonah.
Right.
That's a lot for Jonah.
Well, Jonah's a little young. It's Lucas. He would have been booing. But yeah.
And that's what made him
booing Jonah.
No
booing Jonah.
No, they're great kids. Love them both. Jokic can bring the ball up the court. He can pass. He's skilled, but also in the same breath, sometimes it looks like he has no idea what he's doing.
Yes.
And it is when you talk about total package, he really is. The shot at the end of the third quarter, he's got range, toucher on the basket, all of that.
I mean, he John, if you didn't watch, and it's okay if you didn't, I know that Anthony Davis had 40. Okay, but in terms he had, what was it? Did he have 16 rebounds at the half?
Yeah, I thought he had 12 in the first quarters. It was crazy.
He had 16 or 17 rebounds and 6 or 7 assists at the half. It was insane. Just completely and thoroughly dominating the game. And, he literally does everything, and it's a little bit awkward too, He's not a blur. Even his jump shot, it's not like it doesn't look the purest in the world. His post-up shots are a little bit different, a little bit awkward. The footwork's, that's how you get it off, is you have a little bit of an awkward release so they can't time it. He's a great passer. He has kind of no facial affect. He's not like he's sitting there, putting the tough guy face on, but he's also not laughing out there. He's just kind of one personality. It was a watch, but most people's takeaway last night, I would guess, would be, well, who's the second best player in basketball? Because that guy looks like the best.
So he's kind of effortless would be a good terminology. It's just kind of he just kind of goes out there and plays, but just does it well. I don't know if
effortless would be the. I don't think effortless would be the word. Well, can you give me complete, slightly awkward, unbelievably skillful, and different? Did I miss one?
No, I think that's. I just when you talk about total package, it means everything. And that's about it. Sometimes we think total package of being everything that's perfect. And I think that there is stuff that is not perfect. I would say, though, aren't some of the detractors saying, well, what happened in the fourth quarter? Isn't this, when we're talking about guys, and I'm going to bring Giannis into the equation, for what Giannis did, it's almost like Giannis in the NBA Finals and his performance solidified his 2 MVPs. It was able to grant it. And so for as great as Jokic was, they kept the Lakers at arm's length for most of the game, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, boom, offense stalls. Lakers go on a 9-0 run. It's a ball game, and now we're in the end of it. For as great as he was, I would say that his detractors would say, this is why maybe he wouldn't be the MVP.
It's fair that he has worn down. I would also say, look, the Lakers basically put a second guy on him, right? They took Anthony Davis off him, put Rui Hachimura on him, and then Anthony Davis, as I told you, he's a weak side shot blocker. He's not an on-ball post defender. That's not what he does. And so they put him on Aaron Gordon and allowed him to kind of roam free. And obviously there'll be an adjustment to that from the Nuggets moving forward. Gordon's got to make some shots. Gordon's got to cut harder. They got to throw it to the rim, right? They're playing with 3 big guys. So there wasn't a lot of space, but Anthony Davis had 0 shot of guarding him one-on-one. None. And previously when they sent help, he made seemingly every right read. And what the Lakers did was also they started not just attacking him, but attacking Jamal Murray defensively. So there'll be some adjustments, and I don't think that he's going to have this sort of statistical dominance, but man, was it a show last night. It was an absolute show. And it's one of those things where, yes, the fourth quarter they did come back, but if you look at it, what happened in the fourth quarter? They had two guys on him. Other guys got to make plays.